My son, 23, and his wife just had a baby boy. Everyone is overjoyed and excited, but some issues have arisen recently. When my daughter-in-law was pregnant, I suggested that I host a welcoming party for my grandson right after she got discharged from the hospital. I've made some arrangements and even emptied a room for them to stay, but for some reason she was against it and said she'd rather spend the first few weeks at home with her newborn. Not only that, but she said no to the welcoming party. My husband and I talked to my son and he said, "We'll see." But just a couple of days ago, we found out that my daughter had given birth 2 weeks ago and no one knew about it. So my nephew, 24, told me, and I immediately called my son. He confirmed it. He and his wife lied, then hid the date of birth from the family. I told him this was not acceptable. Lying was just because they didn't want a welcoming party and love and support given from family. I told him I was disappointed because, for one, he ruined our welcoming for our grandbaby, and also I invited family members, and they're all rightfully disappointed as well. He said it was his last resort after I kept pushing and made his wife uncomfortable, but that was not appreciated because we were just trying to celebrate the new family member appropriately. We argued, and he ended the call by saying I ruined his joy for his newborn. My husband started texting him since he stopped replying to our phone calls and now is threatening to block my nephew for tattling. But I think that my nephew was decent enough to inform the family. Otherwise, God knows how long my son and his wife were going to hide their son just to keep us at arm's length. We've always been kind and welcoming to my daughter-in-law and her family. I don't know why she would do this and disrespect the family like that. On the other hand, some family members see it as a justified action because we insisted on the party. So, am I the idiot? You are the idiot, it's not about you. Also, Mom said no, so you went behind her back to your son, disrespectful and insensitive to her wishes, and he wasn't on board either. It sounds like they felt pressured into lying about it after you were so insistent on the party. You ruined the welcoming for him and his wife. You should feel horrible for that and for putting them in that position to begin with. They obviously pushed it so hard that son and daughter-in-law were convinced they would be just there waiting at the house when they got home from the hospital. OP needs to work on respecting boundaries if she ever wants to have a close relationship with her grandson, and will have to get used to a lot of disappointment if they continue their idiot behavior. OP, I cannot believe that you thought that your daughter-in-law would want to stay at your house for the first few days after being discharged instead of sleeping in her own bed. As for the welcoming party, hello, global issue, and even without it, what a disrespectful thing to do because everyone is going to want to hold the baby, and of course, no new mother is going to want that. OP, you are the idiot, and I don't think you're going to meet the kid anytime soon. The baby isn't yours. I mean, technically you're free to be disappointed, and it's fine that you told your son about your disappointment. But you are the idiot for insisting on a party when that's clearly not what the parents wanted. You invited family members even though the mother never agreed to the party, and after she said no, you still went back and tried to pressure your son. Who gives a flying heck if they're disappointed? That's on you for overstepping in the first place. You're just awful. You disguise this as a nice gesture, but it's really about you and your wants and needs. Woman, this isn't your baby. This isn't your call. So stop making it about you. You had your time as a mother when it was your call. Now it's their turn. They're also right to cut ties with their rat of a nephew. One thing I've found as an adult is that if someone uses their presence in your life to undermine or betray you, the answer is to cut them out like cancer. Okay, so this all started a few years ago. Me, 24 female, and my sister, 22, have never been close. She's always been the favourite child, and my parents made that very clear. On Christmases, she'd get huge Barbie houses, Chanel bags, and anything she pointed at, while I'd get clothes that weren't my style or size, and my mom's excuse for this was that I should shrink into them and look prettier. She was spoiled, and I'd have to take care of the house and her because our parents worked so much. She'd scream until she got what she wanted and always had her way while I had to keep quiet and behave. I always got blamed for the things she did, and I always took that blame until a couple of weeks ago. We had a family dinner with me, my parents, my fiancé, 25 male, and my sister. And during this evening, my fiancé and I announced that we just got engaged and that we're planning on going on a trip to France. And my sister didn't seem to like that at all. Somehow she felt like it was unfair for me to get to go to France while she'd have to continue living as normal. Our mom agreed with her, telling me I should either stay at home or take her and her boyfriend with us. Yes, she's 22, not 7. This made me upset. I never do anything for myself and just want to celebrate my love for the one person who actually loves me back, and my family has to ruin it. I told my sister that I didn't need her approval, we're both grown up, and she shouldn't care so much about what I do with my life. This made her furious, like actually furious. She began crying and walked away from the table, out from the door and into the street. Just as she crosses the street, a poor biker comes at high speed and doesn't see her, so he runs into her. Our parents ran to her and said they were going to the hospital. I just stood there in shock, and my fiancé asked me if I wanted to go home, and I said yes. When we were getting into the car, my sister screamed at me, "You ugly witch, this is your fault. I hope you die on your way home." My parents remained silent, and so did I. My fiancé just told me to get into the passenger seat, and then we drove off. My sister's fine, she broke her ankle and is recovering. My mum called me about 20 times and left a bunch of text messages telling me that I was a bad person for not visiting her. But I honestly don't want to. I never want to see them again. This made me realise how bad they've hurt me all throughout my childhood, and I now have the chance to rebuild the life I've always dreamed of with my fiancé. I've never cared for myself, always done everything they asked, and now I don't care anymore. So, am I the idiot? She literally walked right into that one. Not the idiot, your whole family is though, and I'm sorry. Stick with someone who really loves you and enjoy all that France offers. Maybe avoid eating the escargot, it seems like you've had enough slime in your life. Not the idiot, don't visit her, don't talk to her, don't invite her to your wedding. And honestly, I wouldn't invite the parents either, seriously. Everyone in this family sucks. I'd plan the wedding and completely exclude them in every step of the process because the sister will make it all about herself and the mom will only enable her. I can already imagine a meltdown over dress shopping. OP, you know you are the scapegoat and she is a golden child. This dynamic will not change as long as you're in contact with any of these terrible people. You don't need their approval. You don't need their dinners. You don't need their phone calls. You don't need their company ever again. You deserve to be valued, protected, and loved. I'm so relieved you have that. For as long as I can remember in my family, almost any time I get up from my seat, someone would take it, to either be funny or to claim it as if no one was using it. And as a teenager, it got to the point I bought my own folding chair so I could pick it up and carry it with me. If I left it where it was, someone would take it, then get mad when I wanted it back. As an example, on holiday last year, I got up from my chair for a moment to help with something and came back to find a kid in it. And then the family scolded me for wanting them to move. But I tell them that when a man owns and brings his own chair, they expect to be able to use it. I own a very nice folding chair that's comfortable and easily portable, and I pretty much bring it to any family events because people are always scrambling for chairs. Well, the other day I went to a birthday party for my nephew, and like always I brought my own chair. But at some point I had to use the bathroom. When I came back, my chair was gone, and everyone acted like they didn't know where it was. I said they had 1 minute to return it or I was leaving. They laughed at first but then realised I was serious as I started going for the door. Everybody just told me to calm down, it was just a joke. I said I don't care if they think I'm a stick in the mud. I wouldn't be bringing my own chair all the time if other people weren't always taking my seat when I got up. I don't think it's funny. I never did. My brother-in-law then pulled the chair out of where he'd hidden it, and when I got it back, one of the legs was bent. I said it was not like this before and how he could possibly have done this to a metal chair. He said he could fix it and tried to unbend it, but it only made it worse. The chair is pretty much unusable now because the leg is warped and I don't want to risk putting weight on it. I told my brother-in-law he owes me $50 for the chair because that's what I paid for it new 2 years ago. He got mad and kept saying it was just a stupid chair. I said it was my stupid chair and this wouldn't have happened if he wasn't so immature that he and everyone else had to mess with me for years about where I sit. Then I took my now messed up chair and walked out. My family's been blowing my phone up, saying that it's just a chair and to let it go, but I still want my brother to pay me back for it. Am I the idiot? They bully you for years, constantly conspire as a group to prevent you from sitting, hiding and breaking your property, and insult and gaslight you when you attempt to set the smallest boundary. Am I missing anything? I'd suggest not attending these get-togethers anymore. They can play musical chairs without you. Seriously, what do you actually get out of going to these things that are worth putting up with the bullying? OP, it's not about a chair, It's about bullying and disrespect. A joke is only funny when both parties are laughing. This has never been a joke, just a stupid gotcha that your family continues to play. Tell your brother-in-law, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. His prize is to pay for a new chair. You are not the idiot. Your family has zero respect for you. I'd go low on no contact. If there are other family issues, please get counselling to work through them. I suspect there are bigger issues here, with the chair being kind of symbolic. I agree that your brother-in-law owes you money, but you won't see a dime of that money. I also think that you're wired a little differently to your family, and they need to accept that you are who you are. They seem to be bullying you because you're different. I, teen female, have a sister, Elle, nearly adult. Elle came out as a non-binary lesbian 3 weeks ago and has been struggling with her identity since then. She constantly changes her pronouns, gender identity, and now she hardly comes out of her room anymore and even refuses to go to school. She's going through some identity crisis, and I honestly feel for her, but at times she can be a nightmare. On the other hand, I've been struggling with some personal issues, nothing related to LGBT, and I finally had enough courage to ask my parents if they could put me in therapy. This all happened 2 weeks before Elle came out, keep in mind. Where I live, therapy is ridiculously expensive, and so my parents have been saving and promised I'm their top priority. However, yesterday when I got back from school, I heard Elle screaming at my parents. She was telling them that she needs to go to a support group because she can't keep living like this and she needs help. And they were telling her that they have their hands full with me, and once they pay for my therapy, they'll start saving up for hers. She threatened to move out of the house, stay with her girlfriend, and go no contact with my parents and even me. At that point, I was fed up and told her to stop threatening my parents and stop acting like a brat. She was livid and told me to shut up and that I don't know how it feels because I'm straight and don't go through any LGBT struggles. At that point, my mom was on the brink of tears and basically yelled at both of us to stop. She told Elle that they'd fund her therapy and then told me they'd save up again for mine. Elle looked happy again and thanked them, but I was very angry on the other hand. I told them that it was unfair that I'd asked them first. My dad said that Elle was clearly struggling more and that I should learn a bit of empathy and try and cooperate with them. I started yelling that it wasn't fair and that I didn't care about Elle and she could wait until they paid for my therapy. Elle began crying and called me an insensitive little witch, and my mum sent me to my room. After a while, my dad came up and told me I'd really stressed my mum out, and he thought I, of all people, would understand what Elle was going through and why she needed more help than I do. Now I feel really guilty because Elle won't speak to me, and my mum has been giving me the cold shoulder since. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but your parents are. They need to figure out a better situation than both our children are struggling, but we can only afford therapy for one. Your school system may have free resources. Expensive therapy should be split as fairly as possible between you. Also, since when do you have to pay for support groups? You don't. She's just sabotaging OP's therapy for attention. OP, your sister is weaponizing her issue and using it to manipulate your parents into getting what she wants. Your parents are at fault here for not reining her in and not figuring out a more sustainable option for your mental health. Yeah, considering she started having these issues precisely 2 weeks after her sister said she needed therapy, I have a hard time believing that there's much more than attention-seeking going on. I simply think your sister is lying about the support group and just wants money. Also, your parents are stupid. Well, since it worked for your sister to treat them with, "I'm moving out and won't talk to you ever again," then just do the same. I, Piper, 29 female, am 4 months pregnant with my fiancé Max, 34 male, and my first child. Overall, his family are very welcoming and often includes me, except for some comments that really hurt my feelings. These comments always refer to me not being part of the family. At our engagement party, his parents wanted to throw it for us, I made a speech saying thank you to the best in-laws, and his mom made a statement in front of everyone how I shouldn't say that as we're not family yet. I'd like to add that his mom has had a few phone calls with Max's ex-girlfriend in front of me where she would remind the ex that they are family. 2 days ago, the mom said that she wanted family photos but could only do it once my baby was born as they won't be family until then. The whole family then tells me we mustn't be too sure that we're having a boy and I'm not allowed to buy boys' clothes. They rained on our parade as we were happy with the news. We would have been thrilled either way and felt like it was because they thought we were going to have a girl. Max at first told me that they were joking with me and then that they wouldn't if I wasn't family when I tried to talk to him about it. He had recently started to see things from my side when I pointed out my family doesn't do this. Go to today. I'm on a family group and the uncle posts this exact message. Dear family and Piper, I wanted to have a get-together for my birthday and was planning a day out in the countryside on Sunday. So is everyone available and Piper? I sobbed and lost it. I phoned Max and said I'm leaving the group. Before I left, he replied, "Sorry, but I have family things that day," and exited. His uncle thinks that I can't take a joke. Max supports me with this and understands why I'm hurt, but a part of me feels like maybe I overreacted. And what if I just can't take a joke? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot at all. Even if this was supposed to be some big joke, they've taken things way too far. The mother on the phone with an ex telling her she's family, then turning to you and saying you aren't until you're married or have a kid is so wrong. I don't even know where right is in that situation. I would say have your fiancé explain to his family that this needs to stop as it isn't funny, and to be blunt, it's cruel. I wish you and your family the best and hope you have a happy and healthy child. Not the idiot. You just can't take a joke is almost always the hallmark of an idiot. It's only a joke if both parties think it's funny. Also, you're pregnant. Why they feel the need to rib you about this in the first place is beyond me. I wonder if this really will go away once the baby is born or if they'll just hone in on something else.